Hi, beauties, and welcome back to Aesthetic Chat with Kiki. I'm your host, Kiana Gamble, and this is another episode of Season 4. I'm so excited to have this next guest on. He is a business owner and an NP student, and he also works another job. So I'm excited to have Dominic on to share with you all how he is managing life, school, and 2 jobs. So welcome, Dominic. Introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, what you're doing, and then what school you attend.
Cool. So I'm Dominic, of course, and I am an injector with my own company or own business, trying to be an entrepreneur over here with Skin Sesh Medical Aesthetics. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm currently enrolled in finish NP school. I graduate August 3rd, so it's near, but not near enough. I'm in University of Alabama, North Alabama.
Okay. And are you a full-time, part-time student? And how long is your program?
So I am a full-time student, and it is a 2-year, no more than that, which is totally okay with me. Now being in it, I'm just like, man, I can't imagine just going any longer. So I give kudos to you.
Great. So you're actually the first injector that's an NP student full-time who also runs their own business. All the other injectors that I've interviewed so far have been injectors, but they've worked at a practice. I think it would be very interesting for you to actually talk about your practice and juggling both.
So on top of that, I forgot to mention, so I also work for, it's Presbyterian. They're a medical group here and local to Albuquerque in New Mexico. So not only on top of that, I also do family nurse, team nurse here at one of the family practices. So that's also within the week. I don't know how I do it, but it's there as well.
I'm speechless, blown away. I do not understand how you have enough time for it all. So I would like you to break down just your time commitments with school, with your course loads, as well as managing how often are you injecting in the clinic, and then how often are you working the other job as well.
So with Skin Sesh, I'm injecting, like to do Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. I've kind of lessened my load as school's gotten a little bit more of my time. So I've actually brought in another nurse practitioner to kind of take over my clients, and so that I can back off a little bit more, just so that I can make sure I do well in school. That's my main priority. The rest of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on and off, I'm with Presbyterian, and I work full time. Well, I can't say full time, but those are the days that I work there. And then evenings are dedicated to studying, discussion posts, which are the bane of my existence, and also like case discussions, exams, and so forth. And on top of that, I'm in my clinical part of my program. So it's a class and a clinical component that I'm doing. So I've learned that there's not enough time in the day, days in the week, and of course, days in the month.
So what days are you actually doing clinicals then? Are you cutting back at your work, as it sounds like you've cut back pretty significantly, but in terms of trying to fit in those clinical hours, how is that looking?
So yes, so along with working at the clinic for Presbyterian, I'll go back and forth and teeter so that I can get my hours. So my program requires 120 hours in 8 weeks. So trying to fit that in there is a little juggling, but it's doable. It's not the same clinic that I work at as well. So which is really, really nice that I'm familiar with the patients, the providers, and vice versa. I feel like it's been a really nice learning experience so far. So that is also entangled in the work week that I have as well.
Okay. How was the school okay with you doing the clinicals at your place of work? I know that some programs get really dicey when it comes to doing any type of hours that are related to a job where you're actually being compensated.
I have heard that where they're like, they won't allow you to work and do clinical there, but my program allowed me to. I'm able to do my clinical with nurse practitioners, PAs, MDs, where I know that there are some other programs that only allow you to do with nurse practitioners. So I'm really thankful that I can get that diverse education, or at least be exposed to different practices and practitioners and how they practice.
Nice. So would you say that your biggest challenge is time management and managing all of the moving pieces, or is there something else that's a little bit more challenging throughout this whole experience?
It's time. It's time because, I mean, the real life part about it is that, I mean, I still need to work. I still have bills that come in. So, I mean, I need to work, but then I need to study. So, but I need to do clinical. So when I'm here doing clinical, I'm like, I really could be working and vice versa. So it's all about time and trying to prioritize where I need to give more attention to. and school's really, really important. But I mean, bills, I mean, it is what it is, like they got to be paid.
How many classes is considered full-time in your program?
Full-time. So right now I'm full-time. The class load with a clinical component. Don't remember how it's broken down. When I was doing the first year, which was just the didactics, about 3 course loads per 8 weeks.
Okay. And then do you have any breaks at all, or has it been straight through for the last 2 years?
For the last 2 years, the only nice break was the Christmas break. I was done on like December 2nd and came back last week. So it's been really hard getting back into it now. Like, talk about pressure, like it's always something. It's a hot mess trying to deal with it. So over the break, it was really nice to just chill, do nothing, absolutely nothing, and enjoyed it. But now it's hard to just get back in there. But for the most part, it's been like maybe a couple days and then they roll right back into it so we can finish in the 2-year mark, which I'm okay with. I know it, hate it now, but I'll love it in the end.
Oh, I can totally relate, especially with the breaks. So I was done around December 20th and I go back on Monday, and just the anxiety of like getting all the syllabi and like getting back into the swing of like that. I feel like I finally have more clarity on my business and like the direction that I want to go in. And like, I feel like I have a really good business plan for 24 and I have been able to work on it. And I feel like it's all just going to come crashing down because, yeah, like I haven't started my clinical portion yet. And this is our first semester where it's going to be like a virtual clinical. And then after this semester, it will be the last year will be, all in-person clinicals. And I don't know, but my full time is considered like I'm taking 6 classes coming up, and it's just like it sounds like a lot and it just sounds like too much. So all the things that are on your plate, like it just sounds overwhelming. But walk me through, you said you ended up hiring a nurse practitioner to kind of take on your patients. Walk me through that decision.
Like you said, along with the break, I was like, okay, I can work more with Presbyterian, but mainly put more attention to skin sesh, which again is like my passion. Like that's the whole point in doing it. So at that time, I was like, it was in the back of my mind. I had a nurse practitioner reach out and she was interested and we met up and we vibed. So I wouldn't say we interviewed, but it was like a vibing and we just really meshed really well. So I was like, hey, I know you're looking for something. I'm looking for somebody. The decision to do that, it's really hard because like, again, it's your business, your baby. You want to be that and you want to direct time to that. But when your time is needed elsewhere, I mean, I don't want to lose the confidence that my patients have put in me and vice versa. And I want them to know that they can still get that same experience. So that was always a big part of, well, should I expand a little bit? Like I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not trying to grow too big or too fast. It was at the right time, right place, honestly.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad that she's able to take off a little bit of that load for you. Another injector I had on talked about in her kind of last year, she had to take off a lot of time and offload a lot of her patients to another injector in the practice just because she felt like she couldn't give her patients the time and attention that they needed. So it's very interesting that you have felt kind of that same pressure and or have made a similar decision as well.
Right. I think without doing that, you set yourself up for failure trying to juggle everything. Like you have to understand when to ask for help or seek help. So, when you need it, and it's there and it's nipping at your little ear, like just take it and understand and run with it, because I'd rather do that now than later on be like, well, where am I with my business? Like the whole reason to do this, and nurse practitioner as well, was to kind of grow with it. And if I don't have anything later on, it's my.
So kind of transitioning a little bit, let's talk a little bit about classmates, faculty, how helpful they may have been or not have been. Has your program been completely online?
Completely online, yes. So my program requires that I go out to campus twice. So one in the middle of the program, one at the end. And then of course, if I want to go back to walk for graduation, which I plan to, now that I know how hard this is, I'm like, I am going to walk. So, but I've been really surprised with the program. There was a bunch that I looked at here in New Mexico. A lot of nurse practitioners will go to Chamberlain, which I think is based out in Chicago, or Phoenix, which is right next door to us. My hubby does medical billing and coding. And so when he's credentialing these providers, especially nurse practitioners, he'll look at the education and where they went. He saw this one and was like, hey, reach out. It's, I have no business in Alabama, but I mean, Why not? Because all the other ones were super expensive. And listen, I'll be real. I'm trying to save a penny or two. So I called out. They were super, super nice. Southern accent, like major Southern accent, sweet. They said that they're a local government funded program. Not a lot of people know about them. So they only take 60 students and offer a scholarship, which I was like, okay. So right out the door, I was like, yes, they accepted me. And I'm already into the program almost 2 years, and I've been very, very, very happy with the support that they offer.
Well, that's great to hear that you feel supported, like taking only 60 students. I feel like you might get a little bit more one-on-one attention, even if you aren't local. So how long has your business been open? Did you make this decision after your doors had already been open?
No, I already knew that I wanted to do NP. After doing your own business, as I'm sure you've seen, there's certain constraints that you have to get taken care of in order to practice independently. So knowing that I can kind of wean off of that and do that myself was just a main reason for doing that. There's other things that I want to kind of venture out into with my NP and my own business, but that was the main reason for doing that.
Yeah, I kind of kick myself now because when I had applied, gotten in, and already started this whole thing, I was like, oh, I'll just do the DNP. It's a little bit longer, but I was also like, I'm not really in a rush, right? I don't have a specific utilization for it. Like my whole thing was like, okay, well, maybe they'll eventually take injecting away from RNs. So I'd love to have that in my back pocket, but I don't know if I'll ever, open my own thing or do whatever. Well, a year and a half later, things change. And now I'm like, wow, I wish I was finishing when you were finishing versus like tacking on that extra year. So, it's just always interesting the way life is, but we'll get through it.
It is what it is. And I give you kudos. Like I go back and forth. People are like, oh, you'll go back. I think you have this weird relationship with school. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't know. I can't say that I won't go back for my DNP. I just chose the MSN because I needed in and out. I was on a time constraint. Like you mentioned, you were in no rush. So it changes. It's just life in general.
I honestly, unless you wanted to be more in like the research sector, if you wanted to go back and become any type of leadership role within like a large healthcare organization, what I know now through all of the coursework, I don't know if I would even recommend people do the DNP unless you just wanted to say, I have that terminal degree. Do you think that you'll keep a job in traditional healthcare? Do you like having your foot still in the door of traditional medicine?
I do. I think I would really like to. My goal after finishing school is to start with family practice, really get that foundation while keeping or trying to do more with my own business. I really feel like that's important to just get that done. So that way you're not out the door, not knowing what you're doing and only limit yourself to one specialty. I really want to be able to be just well-rounded and understand everything and be able to treat if I wanted to. But yes, I would like to stay on it with Presbyterian. I've talked to my manager and yeah, we'll make room for you. Like totally 100%. I think during COVID, we saw a lot of injectors, especially in our aesthetics specialty, that only did that and solely did that. So, when the pandemic shut down everything, it was either wait it out and see how long or get back into traditional healthcare. I luckily was still with, again, Presbyterian. And again, the bill's got to be paid.
So with graduating, what will that look like for your practice? Will you increase your days at your current practice, or would you just go back to, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
I don't know. I can't, it's hard to tell, especially bringing on that new nurse practitioner to our workflow. I would like to do a little bit of half and half and kind of increase as we go. Having her really helps me to really think about, building my foundation with traditional medicine. She's already done injecting for years and she's well versed in that. So that helps me. But I don't know. It's a good question. It's kind of in the air. I think it depends on what happens after I finish. And of course, after taking the exam.
You're the first injector that I've actually interviewed that is still in their program. The last two people that I have interviewed, they have just recently graduated. So, they've seen it from the other side. But I typically ask them, knowing what they know now, would you go through everything you've endured again?
Okay, so for me, as much torture as it's been, yes. nursing in general has opened up so many doors. I already knew that I wanted to go to nurse practitioner from the get-go. I think I took like maybe a 6-month break and then rolled from my BSN into my nurse practitioner. Like I just wanted to get it done. But yes, I would do it again. Like I know that I'm not there yet, but I know that there's so many opportunities. It's very lucrative, but at the same time, very fulfilling. And it allows me to do what I want to do, especially, with aesthetics. I want to do my own thing. I wouldn't be here without doing this in general.
I mean, I'm glad that that's your answer because, again, you're not on the other side of it. I think it's easier to look back and be done and say, it was hard, but I got through it. For you to be really like in the middle and still say, if I had to start over from the beginning, like totally do it. The fact that you went 6 months and went straight into your program, I don't know, like I took 2 years off and honestly 2 years felt like a lot getting back into the hustle and bustle. Like I couldn't imagine taking 5+ years off. I think taking 2 years off was hard enough because papers change, APA changes, all these different things. But for you, only going about 6 months in between, do you feel like any different from, having to juggle school?
I think I'm able to recognize the stress. I'm like, who will be a sense? So I initially, my journey was I got my associates first, worked as an RN for about 3 years. Then during COVID, I was like, well, I guess this is the perfect opportunity to go back and get my bachelor's. So did that and then waited 6 months to do nurse practitioner. I think I am able to recognize the stress of it all, but juggling, it's kind of not so familiar. It's a lot. I'm not going to say it's hard, but it's very challenging. I'm only in my second week of my new semester, so I'm still in that honeymoon phase.
So it sounds like you like to be busy. Think you'll be a little bored once you're done with school?
I think so. Like Tomas, my hubby, is always like, you're bored when you're not in school. But when I'm in school, I'm like, why did I do this? Like tears. I mean, if anybody, your partner has seen tears, anxiety, you telling yourself you can't do it, you're not going to finish. So I kind of think it's like a sick relationship, but I can say that I not enjoy, but I do best in the hustle and chaotic part of it.
So you kind of shared a little bit about why you decided to go back to school. If anyone listening is, on the fence about going back for their NP, would you tell them to do it?
Yes. So funny you asked that. So here, when working as a team nurse in the family practice, when I'm doing clinicals or just doing nursing, I run into nurses all the time that are like, well, I'm a nurse. And I'm like, well, if you've been looking for a sign, here it is. Go back to nurse practitioner. And they're like, well, a lot of them say, well, I make more than a nurse practitioner working, as a nurse. And I'm like, yeah, but you're really setting yourself up for those long hours, working holidays. Like, don't you just want to chill a little bit? Like, and expand yourself. So I always encourage everybody to go back. Yes, like 100%. Please do. I feel like nursing has changed. I just know that it's changing and it's going to be different for nurses. By setting yourself up, by doing 2 years, 3 years, it's a small reward for yourself and it'll pay off in the end.
So I want you to give some advice to someone that is in nurse practitioner school now and they just feel like they want to quit. Like, they've had it up to here with the stress. I'm sure I've felt like that. I haven't felt like I was actually going to quit, but in my mind, I honestly was like, why am I doing this? Like, this is just too much in the moment. Talk to the person that, really feels at their wit's end and they're really considering just like, what's the point? I'm just going to drop out.
Yeah, right away, you're not alone. I mean, I see that even here working with Presbyterian, I work alongside. So I'm not the only nurse practitioner student. There's, I think, 3 other ones. So I don't know them. They're going to different programs, but I get to know them. So that way I can help them because I know they're feeling what I'm feeling, but maybe not verbalizing it. So keep going. We're in this together. I think it really helps to find somebody who's doing the program or to do the program with somebody or doing a program and give a number. Like we're going through the same thing. Our spouses or partners don't always recognize or can really understand what we're feeling and going through. They're just there to calm you down or get you off the ledge. But it really helps to find another nurse practitioner student going through it and just talking because there's tears, there's madness, there's smiles, there's happiness, but just keep going.
And then we'll switch gears a little bit here. I do want you to talk a little bit about being a business owner. Walk me through maybe something you wish you would have known when you first opened your business that looking back now, you're like, oh, I made that mistake and I can help prevent others from making the same one?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I went into it thinking that it's all rainbows and butterflies. I think what can ruin it are the patients have unrealistic expectations. That was like a real big eye opener. And especially the ones where you're doing the best you can and you're listening, you're taking in what their wants and you provide that and they're just not happy with it. So if I could tell my previous self just to be ready for that. And it got me down thinking that somebody was not happy with my work. It's hard, honestly, being a business owner. It's not just, oh, you own a business. No, you're the last one to leave. You're the first one to be there. If something goes wrong, you're the first one to deal with it, but it's 100% worth it. It's something that I wanted to do. And I'm very proud of myself for achieving that.
My question for you is, when you opened your doors, had you been injecting elsewhere, or were you learning how to inject alongside figuring out how to be a business owner?
Alongside, I feel like I'm growing organically and not too fast, which I'm very happy with.
So for those people that are listening, maybe they'll think, well, Dominic did it. I could do it. Knowing what you know now, learn the skills and then open the business? Or do you think it was completely manageable to do both?
I think it would have been nice to inject alongside other experienced injectors first and learn the trade. I tried to do that here. The non-competes in our area were outrageous. It was like an 80-mile range for 5 years, and get that they're putting resources into you and trainings into you. I totally understand it as a business owner as well, but I think it was just a little too much. So that's what drew me to do my own thing and send myself to trainings. But I am very glad with my decision and where I'm at now.
There's a handful of injectors out there that preach, you need to be injecting full time. So what do you say to those people that are like, Dominic, like, if you're going to be an injector, inject full time. Don't have, that other job in traditional medicine, like really commit. What do you say to them?
I think there is some truth to that, but I'm on a different path. I'm trying to better myself with my education. So, these are just the things that I have to do to, get where I want to be. Would I love to inject full time? Oh, 100%. But right now it's just a different situation. So I can't really truly say that I agree with that because I'm doing it now.
I love the way that you just approached that. Lastly, I do want you to share some of your 2024 goals beyond obviously graduating. But what are some of your goals for this year?
Oh man, 2024. Well, yes, graduating. I would love to graduate in white. That's always just been something that I want to do. Focus more on my business, but still keeping my foot in the door with traditional med. I'm excited for growth. Like I am excited to see where this year takes me in my business. I don't know, but I try to keep it simple because I don't want it to be unmanageable.
How exciting. Well, I'm excited to hear about graduation. All your hard work now is definitely going to pay off. So
we'll have to do like a post podcast. Like I think like my views and my thoughts may be different after I finish.
Yeah, I think that definitely I want to have you back on because I want to get into more of like the nitty gritty of being a business owner. Any other advice you'd like to leave with those listening today? Otherwise, let them know where they can find you on Instagram in case they have questions, want to reach out, or send you a congratulations in August.
Well, we just want to leave with, if you're in the program, keep going. If you're thinking about doing the program, do it. My big motto to myself is the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to finish. I appreciate you having me on your podcast. I love just talking with a fellow injector. It's a small community, so it's nice to have the support. You can find me at SkinSeshNM for my Instagram. I am always welcome to answer questions. I try to be real with everyone and anyone, so I'm going to tell you what you need to know and not fluff it up because it's real world and we're just trying to get through.
Thank you, Dominic, for coming on Aesthetic Chat with Kiki. I so enjoyed chatting with you today and just really appreciate the friendship that we've developed over the last couple of years now. You guys know, to find the podcast, it is at aesthetic.chatwithkiki. My Instagram is at aestheticnurse.kiki. My website is aestheticnursekiki.com. If you're interested in finding my practice, it is Natural Aesthetic and Wellness on Instagram, and the website is just naturalaestheticandwellness.com. Until next time, beauties. Bye.